Let's go. Good morning. This is the New York City Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for June 2nd, 2015. We'll begin with the special order calendar, continued hearing items.
Before we do that.
Oh, sorry, that's right, sorry.
Just want to make a heartfelt, really sad announcement, which is that our wondrous, fabulous, super skilled General Counsel, John Bean, is leaving us to go into the private sector. He'll find out what that's like, and I know he'll want to come back. And we're going to miss him incredibly terribly. And so we just want to say thank you for everything you've done for us and more, and everything you've done for me in my transition of still trying to figure out how to do this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure serving all of you.
Drinks during the break.
Anybody else want to say anything?
No.
Okay.
Just to say that I will definitely miss John, because I think I probably may have known you the longest on the board.
Definitely.
Because John, I was with John at DOB, and I must say that he's a fine attorney, and I think an even finer friend. So I'm going to miss him.
Thank you.
Oh, thanks.
Okay.
Okay, back to business. Okay, special order calendar, continued hearing items. Item number 1, 61973 BZ, 2940 Cropsey Avenue, Brooklyn.
Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC for the applicant. Good morning, Chair and Commissioners, and we too would like to express our sorrow at John leaving the board. Whether we were against or in favor of his determinations and discussions, we always found him to be engaged and very knowledgeable about the subject, and so John, you'll be missed. Madam Chair, I know that the board had was generally positive about the submission, that there were some minor details regarding signage and a path to the restaurant from the parking area. We've confirmed that the sign, and we're happy to provide evidence the signage actually falls within the regulations as being less than 150 feet of square footage on each frontage, as well as nothing exceeding 25 feet in height. And the architect said he'd be happy to quickly provide on the plans a clear path to the restaurant. So we're happy to provide that as quickly as the board can have us back.
So those 4 signage analyses, you're going to explain what each one of them is for?
Correct.
Okay.
There's actually 3, given that one of the frontages is on the residential side in which there is no signage.
Okay.
Anybody else? Are there any speakers on this? Okay, so yeah, you could give that to us quickly. We could schedule this for a vote for ideally the next hearing, right?
Yeah, we're happy to provide that with whatever the board wants as far as the return date on the materials.
So, I mean, if you could get it to us this week, because we
Sure.
already, it's just a tiny change to the drawing.
Great.
And if you know what would speed it up, if you could just circle the tiny changes, so our eyes go right for that.
Great.
And that would make it a lot easier, and we could schedule this for the decision on the 16th.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you're closing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Motion to close, Chair Perlmutter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson.
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez.
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
Aye.
And so this week's submission.
Sure.
whatever, Thursday? Thursday? Thursday, is it the 5th?
What's the 5th?
Or
5th is Friday.
Yeah, Friday.
Great.
Okay.
Sorry, June 5th. Yeah, that's fine.
Excellent.
Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. Huh? June 5th, right.
Okay, it's not on today, but it's the next one. Thank you. Item number 2, 5106BZ, 18802 Union Turnpike, Queens.
Richard Lobel of Sheldon Lobel PC for the applicant. Madam Chair, I'd start with, there was a question regarding sprinklering, and I know that the applicant has a sign-off letter from DOB generated on June 1st, actually, which references application 400-940-924 and says that work related to the above application is completed and was signed off. And this is from the Borough Commissioner of Queens. So we're happy to provide that letter of completion to the board.
Great.
And I know that there was a discussion of the PA permit. My understanding is from the applicant is that the necessary building inspection by DOB has been scheduled. DOB has not yet given us a date. We assume it's going to be very soon, after which point we'd be able to clear outstanding violations and move on to the PA permitting process.
And then the other question was about the handicap accessibility for the dance studio.
It's actually provided through the PCE at the premises. We're able to access the space in the dance studio and the cellar through the PCE, and we're happy to provide that on a plan as well.
Okay, I mean, I think, yeah, you can just show the route on the plan. So you're actually coming in through the fire stair corridor, I think.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah, okay. Okay. And then your question, I think, Commissioner Hinkson, was about the sprinkler system, whether it's active, right?
Yeah, well, if you've got the sign off.
Yeah.
It should be fine. It seemed there was a sort of a disconnect. I looked on BIS and there's a sign off, but on the plans, it actually says, sprinkler referenced, and it referenced the application number as opposed to a note that says, we're fully sprinklered and here's the sign off, et cetera.
Okay. I think once I submit the letter of completion, it's going to be fairly clear. I mean, the letter of completion references the permit, and the permit states that install 4-inch fire line service and install sprinklers as per plan submitted, no change in use, occupancy, or egress. So I think it's a fairly clear relationship.
Yeah, okay, that's good. Anybody else, any other comments? Are there any speakers on this? Okay, so I think it's the same thing. We could close this.
Great.
And if you can just get us the sign off, modify the drawing just to show the ADA access, and whatever the update is on the DOB inspection for the PA.
Okay.
And then we'll condition our vote on obtaining a PA permit and a C of O.
Great.
Okay,
Thank you, Madam
so
Chair.
for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye. And the same submission schedule, so if you could, you think you could do that by the end of this week?
I'm a little bit more skeptical regarding that.
Okay, so then maybe we move it up to the next one. So the hearing on the 23rd, the decision on the 23rd,
I think that's better.
okay, with a submission, you think you could do it by the 12th?
I think we can. If for some reason we can, I'll work with staff.
Okay, good, thanks.
Item number 3, 3510BZ.
Oh, just before the, and again, if you could just circle what it is that
Sure.
you're changing, so our eyes go right to it, and we could say, check, check.
Yeah, it's easier for us too.
Yeah, okay.
Cool.
Item number 3, 35-10BZ, 14411 77th Avenue, Queens.
Richard Lobel, Sheldon Lobel, PC for the applicant. We provided the photographic evidence yesterday regarding the building, so we took to heart the board's concerns as well as those of the fire department, and no one's in the building now, and no one's allowed in the building now. Having said that, that does put us in a difficult position in that we are borrowing space from other institutions for regular prayer services, and so the applicant who is here wishes to work as expeditiously as possible on satisfying the board and letting everything fall into place. With me today is the applicant as well as the project architect. I know that the board had questions regarding scheduling and construction schedule and such. They're probably better able to answer those questions. I think we're in less of a zoning approval mode as we are in cleaning up the Department of Building and Code regulation violations in the building. So I'm happy to have them address any specific questions from the board.
Okay, well, we did ask for a payment plan on the violations and to understand the completion schedule for the construction of all of those things that make fire egress possible.
Sure.
But there's no fire egress.
I guess we would just start with discussing the payment plan. I know that, please. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Moise Rafaelov, on behalf of my synagogue. In terms of the payment plan, we have someone working with us, name of Russell McCroy, who's helping us out in the building department to get things moving. He spoke to the head of legal in the building department, and they have been speaking with Adam Wapniak, the deputy commissioner, We also, with the architect, spoke to Anthony Palacino, and there are some forms that he mentioned we can fill out to reduce the fines, as well as we would like to schedule a meeting with the Deputy Commissioner, Adam Wapniak, who said as soon as you have some sort of approval or something from the BSA, pending results of the BSA, we will sit down and discuss more whether he will reduce the fines or we'll have to pay them as is. So we are waiting for this to do that.
Sorry, so you're saying that we would have to act before they'll consider a payment plan?
As of now, because the BSA meeting was June 2nd, and he finally got through to the Deputy Commissioner and to be able to speak to him, that's what he said. According to Mr. McCroy, we will, other than the forms that the architect can give, he said we will discuss more after the BSA hearing.
I think it would be useful if, I assume this person is an expediter for you. That's,
Yeah.
next time bring the expediter so it's not third-hand information. We can ask that person directly about those questions. Okay.
Yeah, I'm puzzled because the violations deal with previous behavior, so why would it be linked to any approval from this board before you begin to pay off previous violations?
Oh, we can pay off, let's say, the full amount right now, for example, but according to what I was told, in order for us to reduce the fines, and Mr. Wapniak said, I would like to see, some headway here as well, and then he will meet with us, as soon as he can, because we did go to him before, and it's very hard for us to get in, so we got this expediter to help us, and he's been working with Mr. Wapniak. We have, he can give you all his correspondences with him and, whatever information that he has.
Okay, but, in terms of this, for one, making headway is a lot different than getting an approval.
I
So,
understand.
so we can reach out easily to
Sure.
DOB and say, you're in hearing, we're aware of all this, but we want the fines cleared up, we want the violations cleared up, and we want you to do the physical work to get the building into a safe state before we proceed.
Yes, I didn't mean, it's your decision to make that final. I didn't mean but I meant, what he told me was we have to make headway basically and see. He wanted to see when he finally spoke to him was actually last week. That's when he finally got to him and he said, since the meeting's already next Tuesday, before I meet with you and then have another change, another thing come up, see what the BSA says, then we'll sit down with more information and just make it easier, progression. That's basically what he wanted to do. As opposed to meeting 2 or 3 times with his limited time.
Okay, but again, please bring the expediter to the next time.
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions about the fees? Okay. So, and then in terms of the work, getting a partial lift on the stop work order, just install the staircases and the elevator and all that stuff? What's the progress on that?
Hi, good morning, ma'am, sir. My name is Gino Sagbisit. I'm the representative of the architect. We submitted to you new plans with elevators, with planters. With regards to the schedule, after the BSA approval, we will go back to the examiner because he stopped there because the BSA approval was expired. So we are waiting for the BSA approval and then we will answer all his objections.
Okay, so that's a no on that. Maybe Richard, you want to?
So, I guess in an effort to push us out of this apparent loop that we are in,
Yeah.
I think that we're going to be able to come back to the BSA with a discussion of the payment plan, because that meeting with the deputy director is going to take place soon. As far as the existing violations are concerned, I think that, I would say that basically, once the BSA gives us a conditional approval, and I think this is what Ginny was saying, I think his Department of Buildings would then allow us to proceed and cure the violations, which would allow us to occupy the building. So right now, it's clear that no one's allowed in the building. And it's obviously in the applicant's best interest to clear whatever violations are existing in order to lift the stop work order. I think that what Ginny's saying is that as between one agency looking at another agency, Department of Buildings is probably looking to BSA right now and saying, we'd like your okay on the application such that we understand they may not occupy the building, but that as far as a zoning matter, everything is okay for them to proceed with all the necessary applications. I think that's probably kind of what we're stuck in right now.
Okay, so this sounds like, again, we need to be in touch with DOB because no, we're not going to give a conditional approval.
Okay.
Because we did that already and everything was in violation and there was total disregard for the approval. So we want to see this is a safe building with fire stairs on the interior, with an elevator, with sprinklers,
Sure.
all that stuff. You know, there was, the fire department was concerned even about the engineering of the building, right?
So as far as so we have proposed plans right now which include installation of the elevator.
Right.
So the BSA approves those plans eventually stamped by the BSA so that we move forward with that, as well as necessary egress. I think that what we're stuck on is these previously existing violations. I don't know necessarily, from an engineering standpoint, my understanding was that DOB was happy with the engineering as it stood and that passed muster. But I kind of don't know. I mean, I think it's great if the BSA reaches out to DOB because I think that we're not, there's, everything's on the table.
See, because what we know is going to happen, because it's happened in the past, is if we grant a conditional approval, that little padlock comes right off the door, and everyone starts occupying again, and you literally open up a door for an exit, and you go crashing 5 feet to the ground.
Right. That won't happen. Well, I mean, I'm just saying.
Yes, that will happen
No, it
because it
can't.
has happened,
Okay.
right? So the answer is no to the conditional approval until you have something where you open those fire egresses, you end up at a fire exit.
Okay.
Stairs or a ramp or whatever it's taking you to, right? It's got to be in compliance with code.
Okay, so we produce basically code-compliant plans, which already show certain aspects of fire safety and egress, but everything, and then I think essentially have those reviewed at DOB, and if they meet with their approval, then I think the BSA proceeds to approve the application. I mean, I think that's such that.
No, the work gets done. It's not just the DOB.
Well, so for example, we wouldn't be expected to put in the elevator before a BSA approval. The plans are going to be proposed plans. So we would hopefully get because.
Well, wait a second, sorry?
Yeah, I think what we actually want is DOB to partially lift the stop work order and you guys to do the work.
Yes, we want the work.
And then we will issue our approval.
So that's the thing is, for instance, one door which opens into space right now
Right.
is now, according to the new design, opening onto a ramp. That's your handicapped access to get you onto the first floor.
That's
Step
understood,
one,
that's
you can
easy.
do that, right, with a partial lift.
Correct.
The other two doors that fly into space open to the rear, right, which is shown to eventually have a little porch and some steps down. The partial lift, you can install those. Now you have legal egress.
I think I understand the legal egress part. I'm just wondering whether or not BSA, whether or not we're required full installation of an elevator prior to a lift of a partial stop work. I think that's kind of the issue. I'd hate for them to basically, to the extent that DOB is able to lift the partial stop work order and BSA, is able to issue approved proposed plans, I'd be hopeful that from a fire safety standpoint, yes, they've completed all their measures, but I just don't want them to have to be closed during the pendency of the elevator installation.
But you wouldn't be able to utilize the building anyway.
Without the elevator?
Right, because the thing of it is that you can't get an approval from DOB.
I think that they would give us, I think that they would.
You can't get a TCO or a CO without that elevator.
I think that they would probably give us a TCO during the pendency of that, since it doesn't relate to fire safety, it relates to access.
It's ADA, and that was part of your problem in the beginning, right? So, yeah, I don't see how you get around DOB giving.
But I'm wondering whether the BSA can put that on us and basically approve the plans, require us to provide all fire safety measures prior to any occupancy, and then allow the applicant to work it out with DOB to see whether or not there's any partial lift. I mean, the truth is, they just, right now, they're in the basement of another synagogue. So the idea would basically be to just as between that versus this, be able to use their own space for prayer and to, because the installation of an elevator can take some time.
What's the amount of some time? And by the way, this isn't BSA's problem. This is the institution's problem for having violated
They understand.
absolutely every single rule there was to violate. On so many levels, it's
Understood.
actually head exploding.
Under new management.
Doesn't matter, you take the sins of your father kind of story, right? So,
Wait, I'm going to have the building architect address.
okay.
Can we request a partial approval here also, ma'am? For us to do the egress in the back and the ramp in the front?
It's not a partial approval, it's simply a DOB partial lift of the stop work order that you need. Because it's not, as far as I can tell, it's not anything that's in excess of what was permitted under the prior grant. To have the staircase and to have the ramp, which is a permitted obstruction, and to have that little porch in the back, I think that was.
That was part of your original
Yeah.
plan anyway. So,
Yeah, even though it is in our original plan, the DOB does not want to give us any partial work in the
No,
main
we're going to
building.
speak to them about the partial lift, because
Oh, thank you very
otherwise
much,
it's
ma'am.
a no-go. We frankly, you don't have a good track record, or your client doesn't have a
Okay,
good track
thank you
record.
very much, ma'am, because we have communication with the Deputy Board Commissioner. We are asking them, even, we will file for another application just to install a brick to envelope the building, because the water goes inside the building. But he does not want to give us this.
We'll speak to the DOB about this, okay?
Okay,
Because
ma'am.
it really has to be done in this kind of a sequence, or we're going to get nowhere.
Okay, ma'am, so we will wait for that, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Let us speak to the DOB about
Okay.
what kind of partial lift they'll give us.
Okay.
I'm thinking there's no reason why the elevator can't be a part of this work. What's the length of an elevator installation? It's only a 3-stop elevator.
Understood. We're just trying to differentiate the types of actions here, the ones that are.
But it was illegal to have no ADA access before, right?
Except that probably the Form BSA plans, I don't think contemplate an elevator. So.
So
they were deficient.
I-
So you got caught at it being deficient.
No, I don't know. I wouldn't use the word deficient.
So therefore, one has to
We're-
comply with what the
Let's,
regulations are and.
we're happy to have the BSA discuss this with DOB and speak to them about a partial lift and move forward and to the.
Okay.
Say again? Oh, particularly as Ginny tells me for the exterior work.
Because you're doing waterproofing now,
Correct.
and you're not allowed
The
to.
ramp and the access in the egress in the back, so we could put the ramp there also.
Oh, I see, that's where we're,
Very
okay.
important.
All right, so, this is an ongoing
Right, we know.
story. We can have another submission, but really the ongoing story is when you settle the fines, when you get the partial lift.
We'll submit. Okay.
Okay, so,
We'll have a meeting with the deputy commissioner that will likely take place within the next 4 weeks.
are there any speakers on this? Fire department.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Anthony Scaduto for the Fire Department. In this particular property, there's 2 actions. There's the vacate order and there's a stop work order. We have no objection, and I think what the board should reach out or possibly recommend to the board, the lifting of the stop work order. But certainly, there should be no modification or alteration to the vacate order. We feel that based on the history of this particular location, even though there's new management, we don't like the history, and we don't want that building occupied for service until DOB at least approves egress and everything else. So, again, the stop work order certainly should be lifted to allow construction to continue, but the vacate order should remain in place until the board is satisfied that all work is complete.
Okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much, that's appreciated. Now you really heard it, when the fire department says.
Well, we heard no objection to lift. Thanks. We'll talk later. But we are happy that they support a lifting of the stop work order at the least so that we can march towards completion.
Okay, great. So, I don't know, we could have a check back with us.
Sure.
Kind of, and submit whatever you have to submit in a couple of months? I don't know, right?
Well, no, not this time. It needs to be, yeah, 4 weeks. Can we do 6 weeks?
You can try, all
Right.
right? Let's see. That would be maybe a submission on, say, the 16th of July
Okay,
for a hearing on the 28th?
that's great. Thank you, Madam Chair.
The hearing date was on the 28th?
28th, yeah. Hearing on the 28th, 16th submission.
Okay. New cases, item number 4, 17392 BZ, 220 East 86th Street, Manhattan.
And an open deck. So they already had. Sorry.
That's okay. Good morning, members of the board. Chris Wright, Simons Wright, on behalf of the applicant. This is a relatively modest BSA application. It's a renewal for a 3,000 square foot martial arts studio, but it has a couple of procedural twists and turns, which I'll just go over quickly to clarify it. It was first approved in '92. It was renewed in 2004. I was the presenter at the time. And then the expiration date was January of 2014. So we applied a few weeks before that to fit within the normal rules of submissions renewal. At that point, it was just to keep it on the second floor. It was just a strictly straight renewal. Then over the course of 2014, the building owner made a decision. The PC had been there for 20 years on the second floor, but there were residential units up there. They had a space in the cellar that was free, exact same size. It's a building that's the exact same size, floor by floor. So they made a decision to relocate it down to the, oh, sorry, am I too loud? I'm bending over these things. So the decision was to relocate it to the cellar. And so now you have 3 actions. You have a renewal, you have an amendment, and you have a legalization. This program had been existing for 20 years. It serves the neighborhood, and so they built the cellar space out, moved them down there. They're up and running now. So in response to the notice of comments, we submitted new plans and revised the form to say you've got 3 actions in front of you. It's basically the exact same program. It's the exact same operator, the exact same building owner. Nothing has changed on that front. They just relocated to the cellar. It's the same size, basically. It's basically one large room. It's kids, 5 to 10-year-olds. And then there was a question. There was one outstanding elevator violation. I asked the client to get back to me. They said there's an email. This violation will be resolved by our service mechanic when he performs his June monthly maintenance. I think it's a relatively minor violation. And that's basically what's in front of you. I believe the plans were submitted showing the relocation to the cellar with all the appropriate egress and ingress. So I'll take any questions you have.
So we still need it, you didn't have the notes on the drawings about compliance with sprinklering and fire alarm? That was what was missing?
Yes, you're right. I'm sorry. There was a note that was on the renewal, didn't get transferred to the amended plans. There is one note missing, and I will submit revised plan. Yeah, the third note, the middle note, the fire alarm system.
Okay, so, but just to be clear, this does not exist currently in the cellar, right?
No, it's up and running.
It's up and, sorry.
The
it's up
form
and
says, the BSA form says legalization.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, they're up and running.
Yeah, okay. So then it should say on the plans, both that the sprinklers are installed and also we need proof that the sprinkler and fire alarm system are installed, and also proof that they've been approved and signed off by fire department and DOB, right?
I don't know if we can do that until you approve it. I'm not quite sure.
No, of course. If you're up and running, you're
Yeah.
not supposed to be up and running without functioning sprinklers and fire alarm. And if you are, you need to put them in, or we're not going to prove.
No, I understand. I will confirm that they exist.
Okay, good.
Now, we understand this becomes legalization. I try to explain, this program's been there for 20 years. They wanted to relocate. They didn't want to stop the program, so they built up the space. And it's a legalization. We understand that.
Okay. So with the legalization, you have to prove that those two important safety features
Okay.
have been installed pursuant to DOB and fire department regulations and their sign-off. We also wanted a clarification on the hours, because it looks like the hours are slightly different from.
Yeah, your previous grant limited you to 9 PM.
And now we're asking the 9:30.
Yeah, so
if that's
you
acceptable.
just make the formal request to amend the hours.
Yeah, it's in the revised states. It's in the revised.
No, but it should say that the prior was 9 and we're requesting
the
9:30.
extension to 9:30.
Because otherwise, it's not clear that you're actually amending the
Okay, all
prior.
right, I understand.
And then,
You want me to revise the facts and
Violation.
findings to say that?
Egress.
yeah.
Okay, fine.
I just had a question about your egress from the cellar. You've got your second means, and doesn't that exit through the residential portion of the building?
There's no residential in the ground floor or the cellar.
The residential lobby. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Residential
Front like
upstairs.
that. It looks like you have a fire corridor
Yeah,
that takes
you
you
do.
out.
So could you perhaps speak to that in some way, why that would?
Could you tell me what plan you're looking at, where?
I am looking at revised plan PDF, and I guess it's your, let me see.
Because it's such a
The cellar
strange
plan?
building.
Yeah, it's A102, existing ground floor plan. And
Right.
then below that, above that, I think, you've got existing cellar plan.
Right.
And then you show this sort of convoluted exit corridor.
It's a through lot building.
Yeah.
It's a through lot building.
No, I understand that, but I guess my question is that portion of the building strictly residential, and is that considered part of your space?
It's all one building, it's all one owner. I'm not quite sure the question. I mean, there's three ways out.
Is that part of the rental area? Is that what you mean?
I mean, I can have a statement by the architect saying this complies with egress. I'm not, yeah, they just have the way, the back is to go through the ground floor of the,
But the way it's shown on the drawings, it looks like there was a fire corridor created that's this really jagged weirdness that goes through.
Yeah.
And then the question is it really a fire corridor that's created, or is it a kind of casual walk through residential lobby or something like that, and it's just diagrammed like that?
And
it's, I mean, that's unchanged from the original application. That's always been that way. I can
No,
clarify
the original
this.
application wouldn't have used that egress in the cellar because it was on the second floor.
That's on the second one, you're right.
and
I mean, I meant, right,
your
okay.
PCE basically is in the commercial zone, right? But your egress is in the residential zone, right? You've got a split block?
Right.
Yeah, so you're in the residential portion of the building, not the commercial portion of the building. Be more precise.
Yes.
So I guess
know
my
if that's
question
allowed.
is that egress considered,
Part of
it's
the
only, I
PCE.
guess it's only for the PCE. Is that considered PCE use
Yeah,
in
it's accessory to the
residential?
PCE.
Well, there's also two ways out on the other end.
I hear you, but you're showing me that you've got egress coming through the residential zone.
I think it's
that's
an existing
specifically
corridor
for
that's always been there.
No, but her point is that if you've got a commercial use having an accessory need, namely that egress through residential, not allowed to do that, it's in a residential district, right? So you're egressing commercial through residential, not sure that that's
kosher.
kosher.
if you do have a second means of egress clearly in the commercial zone, then maybe
rely
that
on
should be, you should rely
But
on
I don't
that.
think you have two means. Do you have two means?
Yes, there's two.
From the commercial to
Yes,
upstairs?
there's two in the front.
Yeah, he's got it, he's got something, he's got it here, and I guess he's got it here.
Yeah, there are.
And there are two entrances.
Are there?
I think it's just an existing, I don't think it's used as part of the PCE.
Well,
It's just
it's
existing.
shown, yes,
it's
it
shown
is.
as it being used because
Wouldn't it be-
the architect has
required
given us
egress,
the
then
exiting
it's
capacity for that
Right, 'cause
corridor.
it's there,
So,
right.
well, it's more than just there. You don't give me that kind of information unless you're telling me I'm using that. So he's telling you that he's using that as a path of egress, and he's given me the calculation that people can actually fit through 3 feet, and I've got, 50 people that can exit that way. So, if that's not his intention, then don't give me that information and don't show me that you're exiting the
Okay,
residential portion of the building.
okay.
So
I think it's a
you got to
required
fix it in
means.
some way.
All right,
Frankly,
we'll shade it, I
because
guess. I mean, I think he was
it's
just
a
being
PA,
practical and saying
right?
there's a
Isn't
door
it
there.
PA by that point?
I
What,
think
how
it's
many,
a-
what's the occupancy now?
3,000 square feet.
It's 3,000 square feet, so it's probably, you've probably got a PA space down in the cellar, yeah?
I'm sorry?
Are you getting a PA for the cellar?
I don't think it's necessary.
What's the occupancy?
See, without, it's really hard to read these drawings.
Okay, well, so this, because you revised the plans before to make sure that there be nothing shown in the R district that's related to the PCE, right? And so at great lengths to make sure that there wasn't anything there. And-
Okay, I'll talk to the architect. I think he was just being practical, but we can shade it and make it not part of the application. And in response to those comments, based on the architect, there's no PA permit required. And that's in my answer to these notes of comments.
Also, the drawings in the scan, we can't read any of the text.
Yeah, it's really.
So if you could give us a new scan,
Want me to enlarge the notes?
doesn't
Well,
really matter.
it's
It's the
the
quality, the
quality.
scan is impossible. You can only read the really big letters. You can't read any of the occupancy notes.
Okay, I'll blow it up. There's enough room, I'll blow it up.
Yeah, it's really just the quality. It looks like.
No, I can see, you can't read some of the dimensions. I'll make it a
It
bigger.
looks like a dot
There are
matrix
two
to it.
fire stairs.
There's a lot of space for architect blocks. I'll remove that and make it a bigger drawing.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like there are 2 fire stairs unless they're not considered remote enough. Maybe, I don't know. But he is showing it as a second means. Definitely. Okay, good luck with that. I don't know, okay. So that's a big issue, clearly. Okay, so, what else? I think that was it. So then we need you to provide us proof of the sprinkling and fire alarm systems are up to speed and that they are signed off by fire department and DOB, right?
Right.
We need you to amend the drawings to indicate that the sprinklers and fire alarm systems are on site and installed. You need to clarify the hours, that you're requesting an extension on the hours, and you need to get back about eliminating that required means of egress through the residential. And I think that's it, right? Okay, are there any speakers on this?
Stunned.
Okay, so,
I don't have a calendar in front of me, in a couple of weeks,
yeah,
whatever.
so we have,
I'd like to keep it moving forward if I can.
yeah, okay, I think we have earliest is room on the July 14th calendar. So if you could submit on June 25th? Those
Can't get nothing earlier? No?
Sorry, the June calendar is.
Okay, fine, it's fine.
Okay.
June 14th,
July.
July 14th.
June 25th submission.
Okay, fine,
Thank you.
thank you.
Item number 5, 26803BZ, 14555 Guy Brewer Boulevard, Queens.
Say that again?
Guy Brewer Boulevard.
Maybe you can say that.
Oh, 7:14.
That's one of the few words that can come out without any trouble. Good morning, Eric Palatnik. We attended your review session yesterday, and we heard the board's comments, and if it's okay with the board, I'd like to provide responses to what we can respond to today. I understand that the photos were from January of 2013, and we could provide the board with updated photos if you would like, but I also understand some of the board members were out at the site and found it to be satisfactory, so.
I think, well, there were actually some questions. So I think for the record, it should be, the photos should be more current.
Okay.
Because they are actually 2 years old and change.
That's the rule.
Okay, but there were actually some issues that came up about the car wash and so on.
Yes, the car wash was not shown on the last set of approved plans. It replaced, it had beverage machines that were there before, and now it's been replaced with the car washes. It did come up at the community board discussion, community board 13. They didn't have a problem with it only because it's commercial next door and it's not impacting any residents around it. And it's actually well utilized by the community. There's a car wash machine there, there's also an air pump, and there's also a vacuum that people actually use to maintain their vehicles. So they were okay with it, but it is not in the approval that the previous board gave. We'd be happy to provide the board, if you'd like, some more detail on the nearest residential developments nearby to enunciate and clarify what I just said, which is that it's commercial next door and it's not impacting anybody.
I think that was something that we did want to know, how close to the residential.
Yeah, so we can map that for you and show you the distance and identify that, and so the board has a better, clearer
I also
understanding of
wanted
it.
to know if it was 24-hour use or if the hours should
It
be
is,
limited.
it is, well, the whole facility, the whole site is 24 hours.
That doesn't mean you have to have a car wash.
No, we can certainly restrict the hours of operation to the car
And
wash.
vacuums.
Yeah, most people, I'd imagine, use it during the daylight hours. I can't imagine too many people are out there at 3 in the morning washing their
And a
cars.
means of shutting them, turning them off.
Yeah. So you want to suggest
10 o'clock
10 o'clock? Okay.
cessation? Because, I mean, there's houses directly across the street.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to.
Just the width of Guy Brew.
We'll restrict it from 8 AM to 10 PM, if that's acceptable with the board.
Yeah, because you have to light that area as well, so it could be kind of annoying if those lights are on 24 hours a day.
Well, the whole site is lit.
Yeah, it's going to be lit anyway.
The whole site
The
is lit.
site's lit, it's
The
just
site is
more
lit.
about you're hearing
Noise.
to
And there's
Yeah,
like
no,
more
we're-
than one machine.
we're happy to
There's like
restrict
3
the
car
hours.
washes and
Yeah.
at least
Plus,
2 vacuums.
You need to play the radio when you're doing your car wash.
And hang out with your
Doors are
friends.
open.
Right?
And we never got a community board vote on this.
I don't know why they didn't provide it. We'll follow up with them. We did appear before Community Board 13, and they did support it.
And can you remove all of that excess signage that's all over the fences announcing the car wash?
We can remove that.
So remove them and give us photographs to show that they were removed?
Yes. And I think the board also had a question with respect to the outstanding violation, the fire department violation. The engineer had some time over the weekend, over the evening to do some research on it. And it turns out that that's for a functionality test issued by the fire department for the failure to perform the functionality test in a timely fashion. Functionality of the fire suppression system for the automotive service station, so that way they make sure that, God forbid there's a fire, that the system works. That was tested and it did pass. We will submit that evidence to the board, and they are working on clearing that violation right now.
Yeah,
Fire-
it's
fire
still
department came-
listed as an open violation.
Yeah, they know. The fire department did come back out though, and they retested, and it did pass. And we'll provide information to document that.
Good. Okay. Anything else? Are there any speakers on this? Okay, so, remove access signage. I'm wondering whether we can just close this and receive that stuff. I think we can do that, right?
Thank you.
So first for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, so then you'll provide us with the distance to the residential and the hours of operation of the car wash, which is going to be 8 AM to 10 PM.
Correct.
The proof that the fire suppression test was done,
Correct.
and a statement about clearing up that violation.
Right.
And you're going to remove the excess signage and take photos of it as of after that?
Correct.
Which will then give you a chance to have more photos
Current
of
photos,
the rest of the
correct.
site. And you'll provide us with a copy of the community board vote.
Yes, we'll give you all of that.
Madam Chair, I had a note about the curb cut for the prior.
Oh, yes, we'll amend the statement. Thank you, Ms. Matias. One of the curb cuts was somehow built at 27 feet in width, the one on Guy Brewer, near the car wash that we're talking about. That's 27 feet in width as it was built. It was approved by the previous board at 30 feet, and in the one rare instance where the operators actually reduced the size of a curb cut. I think I heard yesterday the board was okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, you
We'll
want us to amend to say that, what the drawing
You
should
said it
show
wasn't
that
complying with
it's...
the original grant.
We'll reflect our advise and
Comment
amend our
was.
statement.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
And so just to mention them all,
Yeah.
including the spaces between them,
We
so
will.
that we can always know where they are in space.
Got you.
Okay,
All right, thank you very much.
let's set a submission. Maybe a month? Is that
That's fine.
enough?
It's within the next 2 weeks, probably we could submit, 2 or 3 weeks.
So if you could submit on the 25th of June for the next hearing on the, for a decision on the 14th of July.
Thank you.
Appeals calendar, decision items, item number 6, 16714A, 250 Manhattan Avenue, Brooklyn.
Good morning again, Eric Palatnik.
Okay, this one is just for a motion to grant.
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson,
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
Aye.
Thank you.
Item number 7, 25014A through 25714A, Grosvenor Avenue and Goodridge Avenue, the Bronx.
Is anyone coming up for this? No? Okay. For a motion to grant?
Chair Promoter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson,
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez,
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown.
Aye.
New cases, item number 8, 3-15A, 47 Troika Way, Staten Island.
Good morning, Madam Chairperson, members of the board. My name is Edward Loria. I'm the applicant. I did not attend your executive session yesterday, but I was able to view it online, which was remarkable for me to see such a thing in this day and age.
Hours of modern science.
Modern technology, how wonderful it is. At any rate, the couple of comments that were made were very pertinent. We had made an error on our vehicle circulation plan, showing the building extending into the easement, which of course it doesn't. So I've corrected that, and I'll submit the revised plan. Also, a comment was made regarding that the board member said that she was not a truck driver, so she didn't really know how we could get into that space. But if she was a truck driver, she could get into that space. And not only, that's not really the issue. The issue is that in the type of buildings we've proposed here are small, and you're never going to see a tractor trailer come into this site. In fact, deliveries to and from the different building, the different sections, probably be made right through the open garage doors which each space has. So this is just to meet the requirements of the zoning resolution. In fact, only one loading berth is required, and we're providing 2.
Okay, but let's just say your contractor is a general contractor, works with sheetrock, for example, and the sheetrock gets delivered, it's usually delivered on large flatbeds.
I don't think anybody would be delivering sheetrock to this site.
No?
The units are too small. The sheetrock would be delivered right to the job site. The sheetrock contractor might have one of these spaces and keep his equipment there. He might keep some mud or some other sheetrock compound, but he wouldn't be delivering sheetrock to store here to deliver to a big job. Never. These units are too small.
Okay, so I guess maybe what we would say on our resolution is that DOB has to review the size and the configuration of the loading dock, and we leave it to them to see that it complies with loading dock requirements. Okay. And then we had a question about the street trees.
Well,
Where are they going?
there is no place to plant these street trees on this narrow easement, although we've received fire department approval for the construction of these buildings on this easement. So we'll have to plant them off-site.
Okay.
The on-site trees, we are planting
You
on-site.
can't fit them on Troika,
No, it's too narrow.
so then the Parks Department will. Okay.
We'll plant them off-site.
And then I think we didn't have a community board vote yet on that.
No, I
Is that
understand
correct? Yeah. So, but they're meeting on the 23rd of June, is that correct?
Correct.
Full board is June 23rd.
Yes.
Okay. So then, I guess can we close before we have a community board decision? Sure. Think so? Yeah, okay. Okay, all right, so we just need, what?
Revised
The
plan.
correction on the circulation plan?
Yes.
A note about where the street trees are going, just to
Okay.
tell us. And maybe a note about the loading dock.
Okay.
Just to say what's going on, but we'll condition our determination on the loading dock's
Okay.
review by DOB. Are there any speakers on this? Okay, so I think we can close. So for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
And I guess we have to schedule this for after the June 23rd community board
Correct.
vote. So then if you could make your submission on June 25th for the next hearing on July 14th.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 9, 7-15 BZY and 8-15A, 180 Orchard Street, Manhattan.
Good morning, Chairperson Perlmutter and Commissioners. My name is Robin Kramer from Duval and Stackenfeld, LLP. I'm here on behalf of 180 Owners, LLC, the developer and owner of the project at 180 Orchard Street. This is an application for both an extension of time to complete the construction pursuant to 11332B of the zoning resolution and for determination of common law vested rights. I'm not going to present the application, you've all seen it. I did hear yesterday that you had a question about time to complete and whether 1 year would be enough. In the application, we discussed what was then open, and a lot of that has been completed. So essentially, most of the work that we anticipated still remaining has now been completed. What remains really is finishing the top couple of floors, the 22nd through 24th floor, but pretty much everything else has been done, and the owner has no doubt that it will be completed within the year.
Within the year of the expiration date.
Right, by the end of March 2016. Correct.
Because you don't really want to come back.
We don't want to come back.
You're here for common law also, you get a little more time on that.
It's a kind of a belt and suspenders, let's get what we can kind of thing
Yeah.
was the thought.
No, but that's the specific, we need to know which one. Are we going statutory, or are we going common?
Oh, can't we get, I was applying to assume we'd get both.
Could be, you could grant both, but your term would be the longer of the two, so
The common law term would extend beyond the.
Right,
Yeah.
in that, as long as,
In your place, I'd go for the.
common law, right, as long as I don't have to, as long as it's not, whichever is going to give us less delay in getting this approved, I guess is what I'd be saying.
No difference.
Then we'll go for the common law.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you would amend your statement and also amend your statement to reflect that work which has been completed since the application was submitted.
Okay, so I should amend my statement and delete all references to the statutories, is,
You paid for it.
Yeah, no, you can
The grant
submit
will
it,
be-
but you can
yeah.
say the request is for the term of 2 years, for
Okay.
example. That ought to be enough.
And just include the work that they've already been working,
Right.
they've done from.
Under the common law, the request is for 2 years, right?
yep.
And say, what work has been done to date now? Because the real issue is, sure, you could be finished, let's say, by January, but a C of O by March 19th after January completion?
I think they're anticipating finishing the work over the summer, so then they'd have the 6 months to get the TCO. I don't think it's,
But that's kind of like your heart's in your mouth, and
I understand,
and why?
DOB is DOB, yes, I understand.
Okay. Not saying, All right, so you'll amend the statement, and that's really all that needs to be done, right?
Right, the board will acknowledge the findings have been made for both.
Right.
And then you'll get the longer of the term.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, John. That felt so good to hear from you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And so, okay, so we can close this. Are there any speakers on this before we close? Okay, so we can close, for a motion to close.
Chair Promoter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
And if you could do that really fast.
I'll do it this week.
Okay, then we could have a decision on the 16th of June? Is that okay? David, is that okay?
Thank you.
Item number 10, 26 and 2715A, 5761 Alberta Avenue, Staten Island.
Good morning, Steven Simisich for the applicant.
Just one thing, Ms. Kramer, just one thing. When you make the changes, if you could just circle them or underline them, so our eyes go right for that, that would be very helpful.
Okay.
Okay, thanks. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Good morning, Steven Simisich for the applicant. I attended a review session yesterday, considering there was absolutely no comments on the project. And in addition, the fire department already issuing no comment or objection, and full board approval at the community board committee and the full board. I just respectfully ask for this hearing to be closed and put to vote.
Okay, that seems fair. Are there any speakers on this? Or any comments, like new comments? We're sorry, we didn't have any.
That's okay. No comments is the best comment.
And I think you were okay with close vote, right? Okay. So for a motion to close?
Chair Promoter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
And for a motion to grant?
Chair Promoter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Zoning calendar. Continued hearing items. Item number 11, 22213BZ, 2472 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn.
Hi, Eric Palatnik for an adjournment.
Hi. So I know you wanted 2 weeks, but unfortunately, June is really,
That's fine.
so I think we could handle July 14th for this. So if you could submit June 25th for July 14th here.
That's great. I think the board has everything, the submission already. I think the problem
Oh,
was
you
that it came in a few days late was the problem. That's why.
okay.
So you should have everything you need.
Great.
But July 14th is great. Thank you.
Item number 12, 30313BZ, 506-510 Brook Avenue, the Bronx.
Yeah, so so there's nobody here. Okay, yes, they requested an adjournment for July 21st hearing. Sorry, is there such a thing? July. Yeah, 21st hearing with a July 2nd submission.
July 2nd, July 21st?
Yeah.
Continued hearing, okay. This is an adjournment. Make sure it's marked. Item number 13, 2914BZ, 225 East 27th Street, Brooklyn.
I don't see what they asked for in terms of adjournment.
I don't know.
I don't know how much time. I think that this was the one we asked for a lot of changes, so we're going to give them a lot of time. So, okay, maybe July 28th hearing, and a July 16th submission.
Item number...
Sorry, not July 6th,
Go
July
back.
9th.
July 9th submission?
Yeah, a full 2 weeks after, yeah, July
Okay.
9th.
Item number 14, 3714BZ, 8610 Roosevelt Avenue, Queens.
Hello, good morning again. Eric Palatnik. I'm just passed them to Ms. Matias that's coming around. Is the fire department sign off for the dry valve, showing that on, I think that was a question from the board yesterday, and on May 27th, it was signed off by the fire department. So hopefully that addresses the concerns of the board relating to the sprinkler system.
One dry valve system. All right, so, I'd like the fire department maybe to comment on whether they're good.
Yeah.
But
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners Anthony Scaduto for the Fire Department. Yes, this is a valid sign-off a document that shows that the tests were run and was found to be satisfactory. We have no other objections.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you. Okay, and then you had photos of the aerobic studio. I think we were good otherwise. Was there anything else? Anybody else? Because you also had notes about acoustical systems, which were good. Okay, so then I think we can close this. Are there any speakers on this? So for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
And you can do this, you sure? Okay, so, and then for a motion to grant?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Thank you very much. That was a nice surprise. Thank you.
It's David being heroic
I
here.
just thank
Okay. I hope he doesn't
Item number
regret it in the
15,
morning.
9414BZ, 1150 East 22nd Street, Brooklyn.
Okay, this one, they requested an adjournment. Just want to make sure. I think we'd have to adjourn this to July 21. Yeah, so for submissions, sorry, July 21, 2. And a submission on July 2nd.
July 2nd and July 21?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, right before holidays, you know.
It's not coming in.
They may not be happy with that, but let's see what happens.
Okay, item number 16, 9814BZ, 404 Richmond Terrace, Staten Island.
Yeah.
Not to text Josh.
Good morning.
I already did.
Todd Dale for the applicant. So from review session, I understand the board, understandably, has questions about the application. In no particular order, we'll run through the items, hopefully with some of the simpler ones, and get to the other ones. First, regarding the permeable surfaces, we'll have the architect change the drawings to note that there will be permeable surfaces in the parking lot. There was a question regarding the amplified music. We'll clarify this in the statement, the next submission. Regarding the amplified music, we agreed to a 10 p.m. limit during the weekdays, which I believe was suggested by the board. We would request that would be Monday through Thursday. Okay, Monday through Thursday, and then 12 midnight on the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. In addition, regarding the amplified music.
No, not Sunday, Friday, Saturday.
Well,
Right, midnight.
the question then is this, is that sometimes we were speaking with the property owners and they say that on 3-day weekends, they expect to have events on Sundays. So that's why they're not sure how to word it with the Sundays with a Monday holiday, because they've been told like Memorial Day and days of that sort.
You could
So Sunday
say
night.
Sunday nights when it's part of a holiday weekend where Mondays are official days off, something like that,
Something
federal
else.
holidays.
All right, we'll arrange the language accordingly. But 12 midnight on the weekend days.
Yes.
In addition, regarding the amplified music, we'll change that sound note where, there was a question regarding the if that was included. That sound note was taken from a lot of the PCE applications, which you know that we do. We will change that to get rid of everything after the if to just say sound systems. It'll
Wait,
clarify.
sorry, what's the if, sorry?
If I recall, the note said sound system if
If
installed,
installed.
so
Oh.
we'll just say sound system. So that will be just a blanket inclusion. So not only the sound system that they plan to have there, but in case a band or something like that comes for an event, it'll just cover basically any amplified sound. So we'll make sure that it's a wider spread note.
But I
Also-
think the note limits it to 45 dBAs.
Right.
And according to the noise code, that's not the regulation for commercial music. So you have to go to, like, section 24-231, I believe it is, and 232, where there's like multiple limits for commercial music. And some of them are measured on, octave bandwidth. So it's more complicated than just 45 dB. I think it's actually 42 dBAs.
I think we'd agreed to a 42 dBA across the board.
You just
We'll
you
take a
have
look
to
at that.
comply with the noise.
The architect
Right,
put the
but-
note in there about the quiet law, which he thought would
Yeah, that's,
include that also. So the note was, he was really trying to make it as inclusive a note as possible to.
but the problem is that your plans don't show any reconstruction that's going to provide sound attenuation. And that's, it's, you can't do it after the fact. You have to do it, you have to plan for it now.
So that's the thing. The drawings need to show that the windows are changing, that there's insulation being installed, that there's fencing or something being installed that's sound attenuation, that there's planting that's sound attenuating. We really do need, I think you need to bring in a noise consultant here, because this is the biggest problem for the neighbors, is the noise emanating from this place, which is a reasonable fear, right? And so all the work that's done here has to be oriented towards keeping the sound inside of the building. And also, you need to have something on your statement that shows that there will be no music on the exterior of the building, because that's very attractive. Now that you have more open space with parking lot and all that, no tents outside with music, all that stuff.
Sure. I realize there are a lot of sounds, so we'll just deal with them all now. Regarding the note, just backtracking a little bit, regarding the note, the 45 dBA, we'll review it so it is inclusive of what code needs to be followed, whether it's 42 dBA, whether it's a scale, we'll adjust the note accordingly. Regarding the attenuation measures, the architect, and we'll go back through and make sure that it's on the plans, including the statement. The architect says that pane windows are proposed already, that he is going to have sound baffling inside the building. Those were the two main things that he said, but we'll make sure that that's included there as far as sound attenuation measures, specifically notes on the plan and also in the statement. Regarding...
And more than just a statement, we like to see details, okay? So show us the details and the locations of where all of those measures will be taken.
Okay,
And
I'll let him know about
it's probably
that.
not adequate to just have sound baffling. Sound baffling sounds like insulation. I don't know what sound baffling
Sure.
is.
I'll run that by him.
Okay.
There is no amplified music proposed outside. I know there's a question regarding, I think, the valet parking. There's going to be no speakers. This is not a big lot. Any communication, they're planning to have headsets, which shouldn't be an issue. And they're not even sure if the headsets are going to be needed, but there's no exterior music planned, no tents planned outside. There was also a question, and we'll clarify it again. The note was intended to show that any amplification, like for dancing, would be only on the first floor and not the second floor. The second floor is going to be ambient music only. The idea behind the second floor is that...
What do you mean ambient music? That's amplified.
Just gonna, well, as opposed to a sound system or a speaker or something at dance level, something like that.
Use a sound system to bring in music, even if it's mood jazz, right? It's amplified. It's how,
Fair
otherwise
enough.
it doesn't
The
come out of the
idea
machine.
behind the upper floor is that it would be, if a event downstairs, like for the bridal suite, but they also felt like an awards banquet or something up there, it's not designed to be a party atmosphere up on the second floor, it's designed to be a different type of event. So they were saying that the music they want up there is they do want to have the ability to have, I don't want to say elevator music, but that type of level of music up there. So that was what the designation between the first and the second floor was intended to be. We're happy to clarify it in the statement or put a note on the plan to try and designate it. I don't know, I understand what you're saying about amplified music, but we do want to
Also,
create a
then you could
designation
say,
between the two.
If the lower floor is having music that's at the maximum of what's allowed and still meeting the code, right?
Right.
The upper floor sound system will have something that's 30 dBA or whatever it is, set some, whatever mood music is normally at, I have no idea.
We'll take a look,
Right?
okay.
Okay.
We'll clarify that.
So this would all be inclusive of sort of all sorts of music, including sort of live entertainment and...
The amplified, when they were
They would
putting
limit
in-
the amplification
100%,
even if it's
yeah,
live
that's-
entertainment or any other type of musical.
Correct. And that's why we'll change that sound note to get rid of the if, the qualifier, just to say
Right.
music. Anything that's coming out is going to meet the code levels, and it will meet those time limits as far as the weekdays and the weeknights. So we agree with that, and we'll we'll change everything to make the board happy, the neighbors happy, and the owners happy.
Okay,
So I don't know if there's any other sound
Yeah, well, so
specific ones.
that all goes into the fencing system and the planting. You know, planting is both aesthetic and it's a great sound baffler. And there's also fencing that can be used that's a sound baffler.
Regarding the planting, I know there was a note about it. The plans at least were submitted did specify what types of bushes and trees were going to be proposed around. We'll make the note clear, but it was on the plan.
It didn't show, I don't think it showed the number of trees, it just showed generally. I don't think there was an actual landscaping plan that showed.
The
this
site plan
many-
showed all the trees that were proposed, so, I mean, I guess we could do a count of those trees.
Yeah, well, we should be specific.
And I wasn't sure what the width of the planting strip was.
I know the width of the planting strip.
Yeah.
All right, I can ask about that. Digressing there for a second, we'll amend the plans to show screening and planting by the 2 air conditioning units that are proposed at the rear of the building.
And that was the
So
point, yeah.
that'll definitely be changed, and the revised plans will put in a sufficient barrier there for the air conditioning units.
That's what my comments were. It
Okay.
wasn't that there was no planting shown, but where it seemed as if the noisiest part that's closest to the residences didn't have planting.
Okay, we'll do that, and then I'll ask him about the fencing to see if he has information about that.
Right, yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. All right, so I would just say generally, we understand that that's a big concern and we'll adjust things accordingly.
Right.
Regarding the trash, the most recent plans did show an internal trash area. I realize it didn't say refrigerated. It's going to be refrigerated. We'll change a note, we'll put it on the plans, and we'll note it in a statement to change.
But
the exterior dumpster, the hope was that they could have this dumpster for non-food items, just in case there's recycling or issues, you know, things that wouldn't create an odor or issues for the neighbors, but because of the space, the limited space that they have inside the building for food preparation and, you know, the storage of food and materials, they wanted to have that dumpster option screened as it's shown for non-food items.
My reaction is a dumpster is not something you have in a residential neighborhood. It's unsightly.
I'm in a residential neighborhood, there's a lot of dumpsters by me, so.
But don't you wish they would go away?
No, the one next to me is screened very nicely, and I would hope that they would screen this way.
Nicely screened dumpsters,
So-
that's sweet. No,
so-
you should put it in the basement.
That's parsley.
Yeah, really.
Oh, I don't know, that's fine. But that's the hope, to have the dumpster, and we would, you know, with appropriate conditions, ask that the board would agree for, you know, I think we marked as a 6-foot-high fence, we'll have a covered dumpster, mark it for non-food items
Now,
only.
see, the reason that I don't think I don't think it's appropriate for a lot of reasons in a residential area, but the other thing that ends up happening is it's out of sight, kind of out of mind, so you pile the pizza boxes on top. It becomes this really unsightly place. And they're not that clean, and even though they don't actually have food in them, they attract all kinds of creatures.
I also think that that's an assumption that they're going to be a bad actor, and I don't think it's fair to put that assumption on these particular owners until they're up there.
That's just an observation about how dumpsters work.
The site is
Not all
clean.
dumpsters.
Is the site, well, it was mentioned that the site is not that clean right now.
Sure, understandably, because they're not open, because they haven't been able to get
It's
their
still their
approvals and to move
property.
forward.
Well, I'm thinking this non-food trash could be a lot of bottles. you know.
Yeah.
Potentially,
Which
sure,
has-
as far as recycling.
Noise and odors.
Which is noise, odors, attracts vermin. It's sugary stuff, right? Just put it in the basement,
That's fine.
okay?
Not outside.
So you're continuing to go down your question list? 'Cause
Sure,
we
and I
have
think
a
that's so,
lot.
dumpster, the architect is confident with the elevator addressing Department of Buildings, and you said that the board would be fine letting them address that. Fencing, planting, noise. The LPC review, we'll submit it. I didn't have a clean copy to get, but they did get their approvals that were required from Landmark, so we'll submit that documentation to the board. Let's see. See if I can But in any case, we did get the approvals that were required,
So you'll get
so we'll submit that. There's a question regarding the EAS. We, in November 2014, submitted an EAS that was updated showing the historical site. We'll double check with staff.
I think you checked the wrong box. You checked it as an unlisted action, but it's actually
All right,
a type.
we'll review that. Okay.
Type
Type 1.
1, sorry, type 1.
Okay, we'll double check the EAS and make any corrections that are necessary.
Yeah, it's a type. It's the historical district.
And the parking area. The proposal, we're going to have the architect prepare an additional plan showing a parking diagram and a circulation plan for the valet parking. The proposal is that the vehicles would enter into the lot, stop at the waiting area, and the valets would pick it up there, and patrons could go in. Patrons would come out, and that waiting area was set aside as the board requested last time so they could wait. But we'll provide a plan showing the circulation of the vehicles entering and exiting the site. Then finally, I would say the feasibility study was a big issue.
Well, before you do that,
Okay.
we also had an issue about, it's not that there's just going to be 40, whatever, many people who attend this, 45 people who attend this event, right? They're going to have people who are dropped off in cars. Presumably, there might be people parking on the street because even though you're providing the required number of parking spaces, even more, maybe, ideally, it's a successful party and you have a lot of guests, right? So what's the traffic impact there? You really need to look at that in the EAS. Because you have one space that has like 180, something like that. Guess, is that? We did
The
it's actually
170
quite a lot
seats, I
more.
think,
There's
like that.
300 and something people who could appear here.
We'll take a look at that in conjunction with the parking diagram. The feasibility study, they were not able to be here today to specifically answer or address questions. However, they did review the tape from yesterday, and I think it's pretty clear. Most of the issues that were raised by Commissioner Otley Brown and the rest of the board, they actually started working, and I've been emailing with them while waiting for this hearing, and they've started working on that now. Just as a quick point, they are going to clarify the narrative. I realize there's still confusion during their edit, to note that it is one zoning lot and one tax lot, and they'll make sure that that's consistently reflected throughout the analysis. They're going to provide additional support for any of the comps and the lot value. They're going to expand the geography, looking for a banquet hall in Staten Island, not necessarily Landmark that was brought up. We're going to reach out to improve the cost estimates. I think that they've actually contacted a contractor about that to provide more support for the cost estimates. And I would say that I thought that the review tape was very clear about some of the questions that the board raised. They're very aware of it and are prepared to answer those questions. Okay.
And then the last sort of collection of questions was about the statement of facts, and one is there was no address of the subject of using the building for conforming one or two family use. Like, why couldn't that work?
Well,
there's no explanation for that.
At the last hearing, and perhaps, but I thought that at the last hearing we were discussing it, that there was discussion that the medical office was the most feasible of the as-of-right uses. To put a one and two family home in here, I mean, we could make mention of it or discuss it in the statement, but it's not realistic to think that you would put a one or a two family home in this huge landmark building, and it'd be so out of character with other one and two family homes that are in the area. There's no history of use.
In what way would it be out of character?
The size of the building, the fact that its current arrangement with these large open spaces there, they would have to change the interior drastically in order to put in.
The interior drastically to this point. That's a point that's made, again, in the application about the medical offices and how it would have to be gutted. I found online an article about this very site when it was purchased 2 years ago, or something like that, where the owner said that it's in such bad shape on the interior that it needs to be gutted. So to do this banquet facility. So it's disingenuous to say that you do a little paint job on the interior for the banquet hall, but you have to gut it for the medical offices. So I actually don't buy that. But for the residential, I'm not really getting why you couldn't turn this into a 1 or 2 family, and so you would need to explain why is this house too big to comport with sort of what's available in the marketplace for 1 or 2 family houses, because at the last hearing where you had many small houses on that other lot, one of the comments in the feasibility study was that the houses were too small for the marketplace. So then the question was, then why are you showing small houses? Why don't you have fewer houses that are larger? So there seems to be a disconnect in the argument there that needs to be tied together.
We'll put something there in the family. However, I would also say, like, when we had this hearing last time, the board asked us to focus on the medical office community facility use, and that's where we directed and changed everything to focus on, as opposed to a 1 and 2 family of the existing building. There really wasn't any discussion by the board that the 1 and 2 family use for the existing building would be feasible, and based on that discussion, we focused on the most feasible option. We can backtrack it and go back and include a discussion of 1 and 2 family. It's not a problem. But just saying that not being included in this most recent submission is based on what happened in the last hearing.
My notes show otherwise, but okay. So
that's fine.
Please include that.
And I also want to speak to that interview. I mean, I don't know the particulars of the interview, if it was done 2 years ago or how old it was, but I also say that these individuals are not construction or real estate professionals. They are interested in operating a banquet facility. Their use of the term gutted might be different than what I would say we consider gutted. My understanding of the site is that there's actually still a beautiful bar in there that can be used. I would say that the interior needs to be renovated as far as painted and repaired, but there's a big difference between these large spaces, and that's really the key difference, which we'll clarify in the statement. There's a difference between having a huge 5,000 square foot medical examination room and all the partitions and the walls and the interior renovation that we need to happen.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
we'll
So
clarify
maybe
that.
make that clear, because
We'll make that clear.
your statement, frankly, was very weak. It didn't, robustly, by any stretch, make these arguments, but you said them standing there, so you should be able to write them, right? And that was ditto for, for the medical use. There are no plans that were provided to support the argument that the medical use is infeasible. There's just a site plan on top of which it says medical office. So that's not persuasive either. Show us the partitions that need to be installed and how that's different from what would be used for the banquet facility of the existing infrastructure.
We can get that floor plan.
And then the other thing that was, I guess it was, what you're trying to do is say, because it's a variance, right? You're trying to argue that this is an obsolete building, right? But you didn't really argue that well. So part of how do you argue that it's an obsolete building? You can't use it for residential because. You can't use it for medical because. Therefore, our only choice is some kind of commercial use. It's got a history of banquet facility, that's an ideal use. But you didn't get there. You need to really hone in on that.
And we'll definitely amend the statement to reflect, because there's also been significant changes in the plans, the feasibility since this has started. So we'll make sure that everything is tied together.
Okay. Any other comments? Are there any speakers? Yes, please.
State your name for the record. You'll be given 3 minutes.
My name is Matthew Sherwin. I live at 17 Carroll Place, the building directly behind 404 Richmond Terrace. Good morning. I'll try not to be too redundant with my points. Although, first of all, I am here testifying or speaking on my own today, there are dozens of neighbors who share my concerns, many of whom have written or co-signed letters. Our primary concern is to ensure that our neighbors are sensitive to the surrounding community, and while we welcome our neighbors very much, the return of this historic property to productive use as well. One of the main concerns we have with the catering hall is the noise its events will create. We are a quiet, largely residential community, and so while it's appreciated the owners have stated they will comply with quiet laws, it is important for the plans to include specific measures for soundproofing. As of now, we only know of a plan for the installation of double-paned windows, which will not in itself be sufficient. I personally work as a sound designer and know there are specialized ways to both build and treat walls, floors, and ceilings to reduce reverberation. And we ask that the owners take measures both permanent, such as installing installation and, as an example, sprung flooring in the ballroom, and temporary, such as hanging base traps and installing interior casement windows to supplement the double-pane windows they were talking about to ensure as little sound leakage as possible. We further ask that it be required that sound engineering experts visit the site during several steps of the reconstruction to test sound levels both inside the premises and out to enforce guidelines for this business. In the past, this building has served as a catering hall, and many neighbors experienced issues with noise from the hall, as well as from patrons leaving late at night whose cars were parked on the quiet streets behind the hall. For this reason, we want to ensure the on-site parking lot has sufficient space for the hall's customers and ask that valet parking be limited to the lot and not be allowed on Carroll Place or Westerville Avenue. And as one quick final point regarding noise reduction, we ask the owners to consider relocating their proposed AC units, which in their plans are currently located nearly adjacent to the property lines of both 9 and 17 Carroll Place, to other areas where they will have less impact on their immediate neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Can you hand in your testimony?
Sure, it's kind of marked up quite a bit.
It's good.
Really? Okay.
Or if you want, you could, if you're
email.
embarrassed, you could type it and email it to
The examiner, the
the
project
examiner.
manager, Joshua Sell.
Yeah,
Okay, if I can get your email.
yeah,
I will do
that would be helpful. Thank you.
Todd Dale again for the applicant.
Okay, so to pick up on some of those points, which we, I think, raised before, there really does need to be a sound engineer involved in this because we, as you know, we're working on a lot of this with gyms, and it can't be the architect kind of coming up with whatever he can think of if the architect's not a specialist in banquet hall design. So either the architect needs to demonstrate that this is, banquet hall number 146 in his or her experience, or somebody who really knows sound engineering gets involved in this, because it's true that just standard double pane windows are not going to do the job. And then what about that idea to relocate the AC units away from the residents? For example, maybe that's what goes in the parking lot.
I can discuss it with the architect about the possibility. I don't know what's set up with the internal. I'll bring it to the architect
Yeah.
to see if it's feasible. I don't think it's possible in the front of the building and to the east side of the building because of the existing facility there. Maybe on the parking lot side, but I don't know. The issue with having it on that side is I don't believe that that's directly. I think they want to have the AC units closer to where the main banquet room is, and that's where the main banquet room is. And therefore, if you have that main banquet room, if it's only on 3 sides of that building, you can't really put it in the front of the building because it's a landmark building.
No, you could put it on the side that's shared with the parking lot, and you're still next to the large banquet hall. Right?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, the large, oh, I see.
You know what?
And you know what, it's just
We'll
called
take a look.
piping.
We'll take a look. However, just backtracking, even if we're not able to relocate it, the next set of plans are going to show screening and fencing and sound measurements in order to deal with the air conditioning unit, if that ends up being the only realistic place to locate it. So overall, we understand that the sound is a big issue for the neighbors and for the board. We're committed to dealing with the sound issues. We've already said, we agree to amplify, sound system limitations. We'll get details as far as the baffling and the windows and other measures. I would say, though, that, with respect to the site, we understand all of the concerns that are raised. However, until it's up and running, there's difficulty in knowing until you actually are up and have an event moving with people around, as far as the sound system. And that's why when we put the note on, we put those on as an overarching guide, because we can put in as many measures as possible, but we think it's more important long-term that the measures meet these code levels and are satisfactory. So I understand the concerns, but there's a lot of testing that just isn't going to happen.
But if you don't actually plan for it up front with people who actually know how to do this, you're not going to accomplish the sound level. So the fact is you have to do both. You have to have a professional who knows how to design for this kind of a facility adjacent to residences, so therefore it could be a nuisance, and you have to make the commitment to maintain the levels according to what's required. So, and I'd have to say with the AC units, move them. Simple. Okay. Anything else? Any other speakers? We're done with them? Okay. So you kind of have a lot of work to do?
The bulk of the plan items and the statement items aren't going to take very long. I know that the feasibility study, they're already working on that. I don't know what the board's schedule is, but we'd be prepared to submit in, I would say, 3 weeks, possibly 4 weeks.
Okay, that works. So then you could submit on July 2nd. That's exactly 4 weeks. For a hearing on July 21st.
Is it possible to do July 14th? I don't know what the schedule
It's
is.
really now full, I think.
July 14th is full.
Yeah,
Okay, the 2nd and the 21st.
yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's not, otherwise you'd have to submit the week before, but anyway, I think it's really.
Okay, understood.
And when you make the changes, if you could, on the drawings, bubble the changes, and on your statements, underline them, do a black line comparison, so we can see what changes you've made to the drawings and
So
to
you
the
want the bubble?
statement.
My question is regarding the bubble changes then, I mean, the board doesn't approve the bubble change plan,
No,
so
so
you
there'll
want.
be a clean set ultimately submitted, but for us to be able to review quickly. So you bubble what you've changed on the drawings, otherwise we're like looking all over the drawing to see that you moved an air conditioner, but we can't find it.
So noted.
And ditto for your statement of facts, because you're going to make some changes, but you're not going to change the whole thing, right? So you'll submit a red line copy, with the changes underlined, like track changes or something like that, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
I understand what you mean, but as far as the track changes, I'm not really comfortable submitting a document that can
You
be
can say-
edited.
No, it's not edited, you're going to submit a copy of it, it's a PDF of something that's showing the underlined changes. It's just a way to make it easier for the reader to find what you changed. Otherwise, you read this thing and we don't know what that
I
new.
understand what you're saying, but also the statement should be taken as a document as a whole. So if you're only reading the bubble changes and not the document as a whole,
Then you're asking us to read the whole thing all over again, not knowing where you made the change. And then we'll have a comment, you didn't make this change, but you actually made the change.
but the cover letter will note the change. We'll say the statement changed.
Humor me. You can submit also a clean copy. Okay, submit a clean copy and a tracked copy. Thank you. Okay, we have the dates, right?
Yep. Item number 17, 12714 BZ, 3240 101st Street, Queens.
Good morning, Todd Dale for the applicants. From review session. I'm not sure what happened to page 4. I do have extra copies of the statement.
Just what did it say? It made reference to
Essentially,
Douglas v.
two
Klein.
things. It referenced Douglas v. Klein, but it also continued the discussion of the only other 4 vacant lots that were in the area.
Which you could figure out from looking at the.
Looking at, but that's what the page was. So you're correct, that's what it focused on. With respect to the street widening and the front wall, just to clarify, in January 2014, DOB had issued a memo stating that the yard may be measured from the tax lot line pending receipt of Department of Buildings no earlier than 30 days of the plans for construction, a letter from DOT saying that it's not in the capital plan. In this instance, the architect has told me it's not in the capital plan, but they don't have that letter to submit because they're not at that 30-day point. But I think it's also, reviewing this particular lot, if DOT were going to take this particular 5-foot strip, it would require demolition of numerous streets on 101st
They
Avenue.
might have said, when they were looking at our sidewalk question, isn't this the one? Yeah. When they were, sorry. I'm in the wrong one. Never mind. Mixing it up with another one. I thought DOT might have actually said something about this, but no, right?
Talking about Steve's case?
No.
Dixon.
Okay, I'm sorry, go on.
In any case, it's the bulletin from January 2014 that notes this. So in this instance, we would be able to measure the front yard from the tax lot line, so it would be a compliant front yard.
Okay.
There was a question regarding the predominantly built-up area. This particular block wouldn't be eligible for that because the whole block is not zoned. The southern portion of the lot is zoned R6A, and the PBA is only applicable if the entire block is zoned either the R4 or the R5. So that's why it's not eligible for that. So therefore, the proposal does go to the maximum FAR. And then regarding the street montage, we would agree it's maybe not as wide as it could be. As we noted before, this particular architect didn't have any rendering software, so they basically taught themselves how to do this street montage. But I would say that it pretty clearly shows, and even though it doesn't show the full buildings next to it, it does show that the current proposed 2-story structure is comparable to the buildings to either side of it, and that the alternate variant scenario would just create a much taller building than those 2 buildings. I'd also say that, when we presented this to the community board, they actually preferred the current design as opposed to a design where there'd be parking underneath. So that's why we were tailoring this all the way along.
And parking underneath, oh, you mean if you went higher?
Right,
put it underneath.
right.
Any other comments, questions?
Well, I don't agree with your conclusion regarding the street montage. Because you can't see the heights of the other buildings, but,
There's Google
be that as it
Photo.
may. I just wonder why the architect has doesn't make higher floor-to-floor heights, but anyway.
Why the architect doesn't do higher floor?
Yeah, I guess this one, the perimeter wall height is at the maximum?
That's my understanding, yeah, if I double check.
Lines up with this
Yeah.
adjacent neighbor.
I'm thinking we should give a tutorial on photo montage.
In order to do a photo montage, you have to show the adjoining buildings at least, not just
I
show the
understand what you're
buildings.
saying. I'm not an architect. I don't necessarily have their software. I rely on what they tell me as to what they can do. Not every architect has all of the.
That's why we should give a tutorial.
Really?
I actually have on my computer a YouTube video on how to put in a photograph on using the program SketchUp, which is a free program. It shows you how to draw your building, how to do a photo montage, step by step. I'm like, everyone should just get a copy. It's on YouTube.
I'm more than happy to pass that
You
on.
could put it on the BSA website.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
It can be done.
Okay. But do we have any problems with closing this? I think if you
No.
just, no? Okay. All right, so maybe if you could just update the statement of facts to talk about why you're okay with your street widening line?
Sure.
Just that? And I think otherwise we're fine, right? So for a motion to close.
Chair Promoter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, David, what do you think?
Probably for the
23rd? Yeah, okay. So if you could submit, you think you could submit the changes by next Thursday, the 11th?
Easily, yes.
Easily, June 11th.
This
Yeah,
one, not a
right.
problem.
Yeah, okay, it's one sentence, okay. Again, circle that one little word, sentence, okay? And for a decision on the 23rd of June.
So by next Thursday.
Yeah,
6/11.
June 11th.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 18, 169 14 BZ, 325 Avenue Y, Brooklyn.
Good morning, Jay Goldstein for the applicant. We asked for additional time, take it off calendar, and proceed with the case, see how it goes from there.
See what happens. We're sad, but okay.
We've made some progress. Have been working towards a goal, and we'll continue to do so with the support of the staff.
Okay,
Thank you very much. I'll miss you, John.
Item number 19, 171 14A, 172 14 BZ, 235 Dixon Avenue, Staten Island.
Steven Simisich for the applicant. I attended a review session yesterday and just wanted to elaborate quickly regarding the front yard on Granite. All along the street winding area, there will be the continuation of the 5-foot sidewalk, as was now put into the plans to be parallel along the street. And any remaining area other than that 5-foot sidewalk is going to just be grass to serve as a buffer between the building and the sidewalk.
Right, but it might only be 2 inches or something, right? Between the sidewalk and the house.
Between the sidewalk and the house, it will vary slightly along Granite, but that will just be that slight buffer between the sidewalk and the house, like some other properties in the area.
Right, okay. But the question I had was, again, about the sidewalk widening line and whether you're measuring from, the street widening line. Whether, according to that policy notice in January of 2014, your front yard is actually 0 inches or it's 6.5 feet? Because are you supposed to measure to the street widening line, in which case it's 0 inches, or are you supposed to measure to the property line?
Okay.
So if you could just check which one you are according to that.
Just make that, whether it's 0 or the 6.5 to the line.
Yeah, in other words, check the technical policy notice that's
Okay.
January 2014, which has a very complicated list of criteria, and you're one of those. And just to verify that you're measuring from the right place. It just has to do with whether the extent of the waiver.
Yes.
Because we're giving a front yard waiver, but what is it?
Okay.
Okay.
So it's just that one part right
Yeah,
there.
I think
to
it's just that
verify.
one.
Okay.
And that would also determine whether there's any kind of a GCL waiver. I think that clarifies it, right? But with the GCL waiver, right, you might be actually building in the required front yard, so. He's not. He's not.
We are not building in it at all.
Right, okay.
Yeah, I verified that again with the architect last night after attending, and yeah, there's no building going on in the winding line at all.
Beyond the widening line?
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't need the GCL line?
No.
Okay, so you said that you would withdraw that then?
Yes.
Right, okay. Okay, good.
So is it possible to close here on that?
Yeah,
point?
we can definitely close.
Okay.
Okay, but we do need your submission on all that
Yes.
stuff, so. Okay, so are there any questions? Any speakers on this? Okay, so, for a motion to close?
1 second. Chair Promoter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, so, maybe we can have a decision on July 14th? Does that work? So therefore, a submission on
Is it any earlier possible? Because July 14th, I cannot.
July 14th is the next July date, and I think,
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
I could send someone else.
The first, okay, so, yeah, decision on, and a submission on June 25th.
Okay, thank you.
Item number 21-15BZ, 150 West 85th Street, Manhattan.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Frederick A. Becker from the Manhattan Country School, and I have with me Michelle Sola, who's the director of the school, and Andrew Bartle and Joanne Graney from the architects firm. I attended your executive review session yesterday. I have some comments, some questions, and we go there. In no particular order. We'll correct the EIS. Sorry about that extra check mark. I found it yesterday. Went by, so that's that. With regard to the delta for the confusion over the compliance of and the setback and the height of the building, we will provide a more clarified site elevation plan, which will show the existing non-compliance and will show the proposed increase in the non-compliance with regard to the setback. With regard to the height, there is, the building currently complies with the height permitted of 75 feet. We are going to 85 feet, and we'll clarify that in the statement as well, and we will show the differential also on the elevation, so that is very clear with correct hatchings and differential hatchings and keys and et cetera, so that it is very readily obvious and understandable. We've already sort of mocked up a set for you in that regard. I'm going to go to the chair's comments first. I just had one or two questions. There was some discussion on the obsolescence, and there was possibly, you said about the structural issues responded to. Does the chair want the further explanation in the statement of facts?
Yeah, it was just that since you're going to be resubmitting, the statement of facts should have picked up all the arguments to support the obsolescence of the building. And the architect had talked about one of the issues was structural, that if you remove a wall, you're effectively removing the floor because of how the roof is kind of seemed to be floating there. That obviously goes to the obsolescence of the building. If you do any renovation, it's incredibly expensive because the walls aren't doing their usual thing, like standing on a floor.
We will
right?
add that in, and I will give a marked up set that will clarify the distinction between the existing and the proposed, and also, as I did with my last submission, note on my cover letter where the change is made in this regard. There was the issue also of the courtyard discussion. There is one additional room which we can mention, which is the upper level for the kindergarten, which doesn't have windows fronting on that level. They get their light from the overhang of the lower level, and they get that from the glazing into the courtyard. So I can add a statement about the kindergarten room as well in the statement. Is there anything further on that?
And I think both another thing that was mentioned was that there's one floor that faces the front facade that actually has no windows.
It's just that one kindergarten room.
Oh, it's just that one?
Just that one
Okay.
kindergarten room that has the no windows, that gets it's a space that overlooks the lower floor kindergarten room, so there's some interaction. So it's just that one room that has no windows.
But it's relying on the courtyard then?
It's definitely relying on the
Okay,
courtyard.
so, but in terms of, so that's one part of the explanation, but the obsolescence argument is you have these structural problems, but you also have this very unusual problem where you have a floor that has no windows. And, how you lay out the floor is a different thing, but you have a floor that...
I will add that into the obsolescence, and I will also mention it in the courtyard. There was a comment made about the specialized spaces in more detail. For the most part, in the chart provided, we are enlarging, in some cases doubling the size of the specialized classrooms, the art room, the Spanish room, the IT room. I can give further discussion on that, or I think the chart, however the chair would like me to address that one.
It doesn't really matter, it just needs to be in there, you can pick your route. It's just to make clear that the programmatic needs stem from actual school activities today. And so, for instance, that STEAM program
Right.
is underserved now because the rooms are too small, or it won't work for the expansion of the schools, something like that. We just don't know what it is.
Okay. that's
So it
easy.
justifies the existence of those rooms in the program.
Okay, that's easily enough done. I believe those were the chair's comments. With, again, Commissioner Montanez asked about the setback, and the issue with the setback is, I think, somewhat explained, and I'll do the layman's explanation and have the architect here to explain it as well. The way we are structuring or adding the interior floors or bolstering them is through something called a Verandale truss. And the truss is located at effectively the window line of the rear of the penthouse enlargement. If we are to push the building back, the truss will end up basically 3 feet into the room. The manner of the truss requires columns spaced approximately every 3 feet 6 inches. We can provide a drawing to that effect, which is too narrow to utilize the room. The room is only around 15 feet deep, so we're basically cutting off a portion of the room, and we can't move the truss, and therefore the room becomes unusable at that point or impractical. So we can provide more information and drawings that will further explain that if I've answered your question.
That would be helpful, because I'm having a little because you're saying that this is something that comes up through all the floors.
It comes up, I believe it holds floors.
Maybe the architect should speak
Yeah, he
to
can speak to that,
I'm
but
seeing
it-
architects smile on faces like,
Yeah.
oh my God, that's not.
Well, I think I was close. You come up and introduce yourself. But we will provide drawings and further explanation.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrew Bartle. I'm the architect for the renovation at 150 West 85th Street for Manhattan Country School. Ms. Montanez, the issue is that there is a line of structure that goes through the building a certain distance back from the street. We need an art room and a science room, and we need it in the front of the building, otherwise we cast a very big shadow on our neighbors to the west. We pushed it as far back from the front as we can, made it as narrow as possible. If we move the room any further, it has to go engage the space of the truss and go beyond the truss. The truss exists only on the penthouse floor. So we were asked at the community board hearing if we would use a Verandale truss, which has vertical members, not diagonal members, so that the classroom would have the truss within it, and it would still function. But after extensive analysis from Robert Silman's office, the vertical members that replaced the diagonal members were so close together, they were only 3 feet 6 apart, that it effectively is a wall in the middle of the classroom. So we abandoned that strategy, and we realized that's as far back as that room can go on the roof and still function as an art room. The truss does not exist on the lower floors, so it's not a problem on the lower floors. The truss has hangers that come down and hang and hold up the new floors 5, 6, and 4.
From the top.
From the top. It's
So-
a very peculiar building.
But the way I'm looking, you're talking about the science room.
The science and the art room, it's the same condition
The
in
art,
both.
it doesn't look like the truss, I see some structural members in the floor plan of the penthouse, but it doesn't seem like it extends all the way, because it would intersect the elevator.
No, the truss is actually pinned on a column about 10 feet west of the elevator. It does not extend the full width of the building.
Okay, so the way I'm looking at it is, if you extended the wall between the science room and the art room a little to the side, and you enclose that exterior corridor, you wouldn't really need to move the truss.
May I take a look on your plan?
Yeah.
I'll show you. No, the truss is against the windows in the art room.
Yes, it is.
Explain that to her.
The truss, the art room pushes right up against the back side of the truss. So the windows in the art room are actually glazed.
Page 207, P207.
Right,
The
so,
art room backs up against the truss.
I'm sorry, the science room backs up against the
Right.
truss, right?
Right. So if you had this interior corridor that you have, but you instead had a door from the garden,
I can't, I have to exit I have to let the kids get out to the fire stair, ma'am. I can't have them go outside to get to the fire stair.
you have to let them go out to the fire stair
Right,
from the science room.
From the science room, correct. That is the function of that piece of corridor there.
Otherwise, I have to go outside.
Okay, well, I still, maybe you can give me some, because I still feel that if you made that exterior corridor, if you enclosed that corridor, left the science room wall where it is, but had another side door into the new interior corridor, you could shift the wall between the art room and the science room and keep the same square footage that you have now.
We looked at this. She's asking us to move this room, this wall.
No, she's asking this move wall back to here, which makes it too narrow.
No, we've looked at that a thousand ways from Sunday.
Well, this whole, truss is a new thing you've never really mentioned before.
I beg to differ. I've brought it
did?
up a number of times, I believe. At least, maybe I'm confused with the community.
Okay, right now, this was brought up extensively with the community board.
Oh, okay,
No, not here, but it was,
All right.
okay. Basically, what, the science room, if you look on page P207, has a depth of, it looks like 22 feet, 3 inches.
Right.
If you move it back approximately, and it's almost a 4 foot to get out of the 15-foot required setback, correct?
Right.
Then
How
what-
many foot?
4 feet,
4
because
feet.
it's a 15-foot, and we have an
Okay,
11,
right.
we have an 11-foot 1 inch. Then you are basically taking off, the science room becomes 18 feet in depth, because that truss work basically creates a dead space behind the truss work going towards the rear of the building. So therefore, your science room is now not 22 feet 3 inches, it's now down to 18 feet approximately, and we lose, that's a substantial amount of space.
Well, because what I was thinking of is that you extend the art room back, and the corridor that's on the outside, you make a new corridor which takes up the space between the penthouse rear wall and the courtyard.
But we would lose 4 feet of space, which is 20% more than.
But you would make it up by moving the wall between the art room and science room over.
So you can't speak, you can't speak. No, no.
You have to come
No,
up
you can't speak. The rooms are tight as it is.
Right, what she,
But could you
She
actually
doesn't-
maybe lift up the drawings and
okay.
point to?
The only part of the room that could move back is from here. This is where the truss is pinned,
Where the truss is where the windows is effectively.
right there. So you could only move the science room back, I'm sorry, the art room back that section, about 8 feet between that pin and there. May I?
Yeah, sure.
So the truss is pinned, stands on a, right there. So you could move this part of the science room south.
The art room.
I'm sorry, art room, I'm upside down, south. But you can't move this part of it. So because the truss, right?
Well, no, but couldn't you put a corridor here on the exterior of the truss?
But then,
But I can't have, this room doesn't, the classrooms don't function like, they can't be T-shaped and L-shaped within a certain, it doesn't make a usable classroom. It becomes an eccentric shape like that.
you know what I would suggest to do, just to clear this up? If you could just do a little diagram showing how this doesn't work.
Right, maybe show the immovable
yeah.
objects.
Sure, okay,
and-
yes,
Yeah.
this is the, yeah, that's the.
Because
okay.
what I'm saying is, why can't you put this corridor here?
But then you have to have the kids from the play deck go inside the classroom in order to egress.
Right.
Well, no, it would go into this corridor.
But the corridor is part of the
Corridor's part of
classroom.
the classroom.
No, the corridor it would be a new corridor between the courtyard and this
So you
truss
double the
wall.
corridor?
No, then this interior corridor would disappear,
Right, but.
become classroom.
But the goal is to move this line back. correct?
Yes.
But when this line moves back to the point where you can't see the building, well, a number of things happen. One is because of the angle of the wall, it gets taller and taller, but whatever. This room becomes unusable when it moves. This gets too narrow, this becomes.
Because of the truss.
Corridor, right? Because this room can never go through the truss.
We're talking about under 4 feet.
4 feet by the width of the building, though.
Okay.
Right, so what happens is, as that one
Okay,
gets
let's-
skinnier and skinnier.
We'll do it, we'll
do a
write it in
diagram
submission.
to explain
But-
what's
but what-
happening.
What you're talking about is you're talking about a space that is approximately 4 times 35 feet, so it's over 100 feet, which is around 20% of the space, which reduces the usability by 20% and 20% of the students, and that becomes, the room is no longer viable. We
I
will-
think just to move this
we'll- yes,
along,
we understand.
a
We
diagram
understand that.
will make it
We'll give
really
you-
clear.
We'll give you a diagram. That's fine.
Okay, good.
The last point that was raised by Commissioner Hinkson was the issue of standards, and as the chair mentioned yesterday, there are no standards for light and air. We were using residential standards and saying how this works with the residential standards. It's not a matter of compliance or non-complying. It appears that the city doesn't require the children need light and air.
Of course not. Why would the city want light and air? You know,
They're like little
children's
mushrooms.
areas.
Mushrooms grow without
I
it.
mean,
That's
you know.
a little mold never hurt anybody. Okay, and then the last thing we also had a question was, sorry. When did Evan? Crap, I lost it. Oh, yeah, what's the status on the DOB determination on the stairway?
Hey,
Oy,
that's the status. I have been.
status is oy.
Yes, I've been speaking with Borough Commissioner Rebholz's office, who's not returning calls. I have been in touch with Felicia Miller, a deputy counsel, who is not getting anywhere. I understand that, and we are much appreciative of Mr. Singer and Mr. Saul's efforts. We are nowhere. I mean, this was submitted more than 6 weeks ago. We were told we'd be given priority for a school, et cetera. So we are nowhere.
Do we have a copy of your determination?
I believe you do. Mr. Saul is noting yes.
Yes, okay. So maybe we can,
Maybe you can give us a little juice that we
Yeah,
can't
okay.
otherwise get.
okay, we will try with our
Yeah, I mean,
juice.
we're trying as much as is reasonably possible with courtesy and gentility to get this moved, but it's.
So Josh has absolutely the same materials that were submitted to DOB?
I sent him, yes, it's
Yeah.
a drawing, it's a ZRD1 form.
With a drawing.
With a drawing, correct.
Okay, good.
Yes, and as we made 5 of the 6 criteria under the BCL. The only issue was within the 10 feet of the rear lot line.
Okay.
So we missed the 1 of the 5.
Okay. Anybody else, any other comments, questions? Are there any speakers on this? Yes, please come.
I'm Paula Morrow from the 8586 Neighbor Alliance, and we're still kind of confused. We never really get clear answers as to what's going on with the building. Things kind of change a lot. So I don't know that we've ever been clear on why the interior space is being removed to put on the roof, which reduces the property value of everyone around who's at the level of the roof, and why they couldn't put in windows rather than remove the space. But with the space that they're going to do, they also were putting in sort of ornamentation as far as colorful glass, et cetera, that if they do put a extension vertically, it would be thoughtful to the neighbors, maybe not to make it so pronounced. We would hope that they would be a little more thoughtful to their neighbors, being that they are taking the light and space that we now have and using it for themselves. Additionally, we've never really heard a clear plan of how the drop-off and pickup is going to go. And we don't want the block to become a circus especially when there's an increase right now. With the Manus School, the community is larger, but they come and go at different times. It's not set 400 student drop-off, 400 student pickup. And we've never really been informed of how, we're kind of not that informed. So I would hope going forward we have more information. Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Thank you for hearing these comments. My name is Edward T. Hall. I live across the street, and I'm very excited about the mission of this school, and unfortunately disappointed at how the building application has kind of violated the entire community's input, which what was just mentioned is the fact that there's a displacement of floor space in order for there to be natural light that is not efficiently being used because there's not much direct sunlight coming through this tunnel, and it's directly obscuring direct sunlight across the street. That just didn't make too much sense off the bat. It's just not an efficient use of light. It's also a permanent change in the sun exposure. It's over 40,000 megawatts of renewable energy that's being taken from the buildings across the street in terms of the permanent yields that these buildings across the street have access to. But I'm trying to find out how this is going to be used, and so how this access and visible light is going to be used. And we just keep going around in circles, and then because there's not a clear answer as to why there can't be just a sun tunnel that will take less of the floor space and be a forced necessary thing, which I'm still not even been told why it's necessary that the population of the school needs to double, or proof that the school has the capacity to do that. And I say that with absolute, complete respect. I really care about the mission of this school. I don't want to see the mission of the school become an idol, which then violates the whole community around it, or be used as a tool that has been felt among most of the community. The other thing is that in the process of this, there's my neighbors indicated to me this without even looking at the fact that there is this proposal that there's an endangered American elm across the street. This elm actually covers the entire street. This is a real issue that we haven't had the time to discuss because there's so much of this, let's go now, let's go now, let's go now, but none of the concerns of the community have been met. And then there's this huge question mark because this tree would lose sunlight. The solution which I tried to propose, which I've heard no response, is that why isn't this increase in the height going to be met with a clear or translucent or greenhouse-based architectural feature? That would make it so everybody wins. Everybody will win if we have, that's a win-win. That way this tree doesn't lose light. It is an endangered tree. We're trying to figure out what's the right way to do it. We don't want to have this tree lose that. It's an endangered species. I work with the Nature Conservancy. This is the kind of thing that it just doesn't make sense for us to be endangering one of these trees. It doesn't mark any interest in community collaboration and coming to a consensus, and there are creative solutions.
Okay,
So-
if you could wrap up, your 3 minutes is up.
Yeah, somehow we have to figure out a process to address this tree. I I feel that the most simple solution is for it to be a translucent addition.
Thank you very much. Next speaker, please. Is there any other speakers? Okay, I just wanted to correct the record from the last hearing. The Community Board 7 at the time had only issued a committee report, and the full board did issue a resolution on May 5th where they voted to oppose or recommend disapproval of the application. Just to get that into the record. Okay.
All right. I would like to elaborate upon the Community Board's recommendation. It was a rather split decision. They vote individually by findings. And I just want to put on the record that the A finding was 21 opposing it, 8 supporting it, 6 abstaining, so a 14 to 21 vote. The C finding was 21 in favor or opposed, 9 anti, and 7 abstaining, so 21 to 16. The D finding was 20 to 7 to 8, so 20 to 15. And the E finding, there were 14 opposed it, 10 supported it, 10 abstained, so there was a larger percentage that abstained and supported than opposed it on the E finding. So as this board has seen many resolutions where you have 35, 40 to 0, this was a very mixed vote. I would just like to comment, I take exception to the comment made about the lack of information provided to the neighbors. We, in this instance, which I have very rarely done in 30 years of practice, postponed the BSA hearing, had a second community board hearing to respond to and address various concerns. We have met personally with the 85th, 86th Street Block Association members, those in charge, one of whom is a registered architect and who can fully comprehend and understands the plans. So we have everything we have sent to the board, we have sent to this community group as well as the elected officials on the community board. So no one has any misinformation or lack of information. We addressed the traffic issue. This is not a school bus school. This is a walking school, a public transportation school. So we, again, we did the traffic study. We showed in our sunlight issues that there is very little differential throughout the year based on the addition, the way it's set back, the way it's angled with our shadow studies. A sun tunnel versus a courtyard. The courtyard is not just to provide light and air, it's a communal space which is integral to the programmatic needs of this school and has been a part of the school in its prior location, which does have an exterior courtyard at the ground level. It's an odd-shaped building, and I believe we have addressed some of the community concerns, not all of them. With regard to the tree will get the same light effectively that it's getting now. And that's...
Okay, so please don't, there's no conversations here, but it wouldn't be a bad idea for you to...
Whatever the issue is, we're
Right.
talking about an addition that is 10 feet above the permitted allowable height of the
Sorry,
building.
say that again, it's what?
The addition is all of 10 feet above the permitted height of the building. So,
Well, since you have some neighbors here who are asking for information, it's not a bad idea to maybe talk to them after this.
we will be happy to talk to them again. We've met with them on 2 occasions already. We've met with the community board, and we're happy.
Maybe you could just show your drawings and address some of those.
Well,
issues
they
to
have
them.
copies of everything, and we can
No,
show them again.
well, more than
I know,
that,
we'll do it. We will meet with them again. We have no
Yeah.
problem doing it.
Well, you could do it like right here.
We
after
will
the
do it
hearing.
right after the,
There you go.
yes. After we say goodbye to John.
There, right, exactly. Okay. All right, so,
The issues that we are basically an additional diagram to clarify the compliances and non-compliances for the height and setback. We will provide an informational diagram with regard to the truss and the impact that shifting it back would have in terms of the effect on the rooms and programmatic needs. And I will add, elaborate in my statement upon the obsolescence, the issue of the kindergarten room,
The steam
and
room.
the steam, the special, the in programmatic needs, steam, underserved, need for expansion. So it's basically 2.5 items in the statement and 2 drawings.
right, and then we'll try to reach out to DOB about your determination. And, okay, I think that's it. Anybody else? Comments? Okay, so, do you think we can close this, or? Oh, yeah, pending.
Let's keep it open.
Keep it open, pending DOB. Okay, so, submission schedule.
Well, the question is pending, can it be closed pending the submission, pending the DOB, so that we could potentially
Well,
have
we could close, but keep the record open.
I mean, keep the record
Yeah,
open,
let's do
and if,
that.
obviously, if there's an issue, then you'll have to reopen. It would be
Right, okay.
preferable if we,
One question, though.
Yes.
If you don't receive the determination that you're seeking at DOB, do you have a plan that provides for it, or would you be coming here? for a
I
building
think
permit?
we would have to re-examine it with the board. I know there have been some discussions with you as to whether or not what the board has the availability to do and not do on the BCL issue. And alternatively, if we have to sort of, we have an existing stair, I mean, it would just, it hurts this classrooms significantly. It hurts, so we would have to examine whether it's more practical to bring it back to you, or whether we just reconfigure classrooms on 3 of the floors, which is not desirable for a number of reasons in terms of the size of the classrooms, the access to the stair, the light and air that goes into the classrooms. So we sort of cross the bridge when we come to it, but we realize that we have 2 options.
All right, so we'll keep the record open but closed. So for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, and so,
I realize what the July decision date, perhaps the 14th, I can submit within the next 2-3 weeks easily.
right, okay, because you could submit on June 25th?
Opposition want to submit?
Yeah.
If they submitted written materials?
Yeah. So you could submit on June 25th, and I don't know whether opposition wants to submit anything, but you could do that by July 2nd. And
We can submit earlier so that they can submit earlier so we have a chance to respond, if that's possible.
yeah, no, but the 14th is the early.
No, I'm not
Yeah.
saying that. No, what I'm saying is I would prefer to make my submission earlier. So this way, if the opposition has a chance to respond, I can submit, let's say, by the
18th?
by the 8th, today is the, yes, by the 18th, then they can submit by the 25th, and we could resubmit by the 2nd if need be. That's
Okay,
what I
that's
would.
fine.
That's what I'm, no, I'm not
That
looking to,
So,
As long as we can respond to their response.
That's not how.
no, that's not, usually it's you get one response, and that's how it's done. That's how it's done actually in courts.
So his response would be to appeal the board's decision if it's a
Right.
grant.
So, okay, so it's June 18th for the applicant, June 25th for opposition, and July 2nd for the applicant to
and
respond.
I would just like to respond that we never received any opposition papers from the other side, ever.
I think we just got a letter.
But
just got a
we've
letter.
never received opposition in any shape or form.
So
We've gotten it
please-
from other sources, not at the
So
courtesy.
please CC the applicant and show that on the submission, show that you've CC'd the applicant. And the July 14th for the decision, assuming, because we closed, right.
Thank you very much. And thank you, John, for everything, and good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll resume at 1 o'clock for the afternoon calendar. I saw.
All legalizations, just to say you're sorry. Fire alarms installed.
All right. There we go. Good afternoon. This is the Board of Standards and Appeals public hearing for June 2nd, 2015, the afternoon calendar. Zoning calendar, new items. Calendar item number 1, 26414BZ, 436 East 149th Street, the Bronx.
Hello, good afternoon, Eric Palatnik, to an empty audience. We attended your review session yesterday. We heard your board's comments. And just looking for my notes, I apologize. I thought I had them out.
The notes were simply, I think we have everything, it's legalization, you
There you
said
go.
so, I think.
Yeah, we'll revise the statement to
Yeah.
reflect the fact that it's a legalization.
Right. And then we need the sound and
We'll put the-
vibration.
Yeah, we'll put those on the plans. We'll put the standard notes on the plans.
Okay, good. And actually, with the sound vibration attenuation, if you could show us where the vibration is going to be, where those measures will be taken, specifically ceiling, walls,
We'll be happy to.
floor. Okay. That's good. Any speakers on this? Apparently not. Sorry?
We have FDNY.
We have FDNY sign off and we have DOI. And so we can close this.
Thank you.
So for a motion to close?
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay, and so,
We can submit within 2 weeks.
yeah, what I'm trying to do is, our 23rd calendar is now kind of a killer, but, super killer.
You only added one.
But we're only doing a little tiny bit. So if you could, right? So if you could, when you make the changes to the drawings and to the statement of facts, just underline and bubble the changes so
Yes.
we can go right to that. That makes the review much faster.
Happy to.
Okay, and then submit a clean copy of each of those so we don't have to go back and ask you for a clean copy for the record, final record.
Got it.
So then if we put you on for the June 23rd, if you could submit by the 11th, can you do
Yes.
that, by next
Yep.
Thursday?
Yeah, we can submit by the 11th.
Item number 2, 319 14 BZ, 1781 South Avenue, Staten Island.
Okay.
Good
so-
afternoon again.
Hello. So we needed evidence now that the alarm system, fire alarm systems are installed and approved.
Yes, we were trying to gather that for you last evening, but weren't able to do that, but we'll be able to get that for you.
And then we had a bigger problem, the architect.
Yeah, I don't know if it's such a problem.
Kind of a problem, they don't have filing authority.
He doesn't have filing authority at Department of Buildings, but somebody else could file the plans at Department of
No,
Buildings, which is what we'll be doing.
But this PC, I think, actually has 3 violations associated with it. Well, one, I think, was for having the job disproved, but the work was complete.
Right.
The second one was actually given to the architect for filing plans, and he didn't have the ability to file plans. And the third one is failure to correct against, I believe it's the PC.
Right, and all that's going to be remedied. They're going to be bringing in another architect to make the filings at Department of Buildings.
I think we need the same. Yeah.
Different plans here, plans DOB.
Yeah.
No,
right.
they could be the same plans.
Will they be certified by a different architect or different plans?
Oh, they could be certified by a different architect, but they could be the same plans.
Not really, no.
So
They
you
could-
probably
they could-
need to get a new
no.
architect to file here and the same plans at
Really?
DOB.
Yeah.
We don't.
no other way you
We don't think
want-
that we're going to condone another architect signing another architect's work because
not allowed.
that is not permitted by law.
No, but aren't,
So don't even go down that road.
well, I'm just because I have to go back and I have to explain to people what's occurring.
Well,
And
the-
there was conversation on their side about it yesterday with a slightly different, of course,
So let's
version
just say,
of
we're not
events.
that sympathetic to the architect who has lost his ability to file before the DOB. So we need a new architect, whatever they work out contractually amongst themselves, but a new architect, drawings that meet our various requirements, signed and sealed by this new architect.
I'm going to try and get that, but just so I could explain, because, of course, when I go back, people are going to have questions about it. Plans are superseded all the time. For example, I have
No,
numerous...
applications are superseded.
Right, that's, right, so I'll have clients who will hire an architect, who'll go through the board case, they'll get into a fight with each other about a host of things, they'll fire the architect, and they'll take the plans that were approved by the board, and they'll supersede at Department of Buildings. There's no need for them, they never come back.
What they do is, the applicant supersedes at the Department of Buildings. The architect supersedes the other architect. Then that new architect comes in and says, what do I have to do? You client, either you pay the old architect so I'm allowed to use the other architect's drawings and make the corrections, because now my title block has to go onto it. I
Right.
assume
Yeah,
responsibility
of
for all
course.
that stuff. Some people, like in my case, would say, I'm not touching those architect's drawings. I'm going back out there and doing it myself because I'm responsible. So whatever it is that the new architect decides within his own purview of his exposure and so on. That's what happens.
Okay,
And
so,
you don't assume someone else's plans.
so the board is not comfortable, as a takeaway, the board is not comfortable with using Mr. Tambora's plans, and is of the
Somebody
opinion we should
forbidden
be.
from appearing before the Department of Buildings doesn't give us warmth and comfort, no.
Okay, he voluntarily surrendered. There was a side story there, but that's
Whatever the
irregardless.
story is, the architect that files the plans here cannot file them there. So
Right.
whatever the plan, I can't conceive of a situation where the plans will be identical.
Right.
The ones that were approved here would be identical with the new.
Right, I respect the board's opinions, I just wanted to understand so I can explain.
That disconnect would result in more work for everyone,
Okay.
including the board.
Yeah, you're going to have to come in for a substantial compliance letter because the new architect says, I don't really like how you handle
Right.
egress, or I don't know what.
Let me go back.
Get it done now.
Let me go back and speak to everybody and tell everybody what occurred, and I'll come back.
You know, that's what
Shouldn't,
happens when you hire an architect who's, whatever the word would be for that. Okay.
But my question would be, since this architect lost his filing privileges in 2012, why did they hire him to prepare the plans for the BSA?
don't know the answers. I did not even know that his filing privileges were suspended
They must be aware of the
until your board
violations.
made me aware. So, I'll go back and let me find out, and let me see what I can do to resolve the problem. I finally have a case ready to be closed in one hearing, and got a glitch I didn't know about. So let me find out, and I'll report back to the board. If we could submit maybe in 2 weeks, if it's acceptable to the board, that
I don't
should
believe
give us-
that'll happen. You need a new architect.
Yeah.
Got to negotiate a new deal, got
Yeah.
to find an architect.
At least I could update the board on what's going on,
No,
maybe.
we don't want an update. We want it resolved, so 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
So.
That's what I meant.
That's what I knew, that's what you meant. So, okay, so if you submit it on July 9th,
Right?
you could have the next hearing on the 21st.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Oh, I didn't ask if there were speakers. No speakers.
No speakers here. Item number 3, 335 14BZ, 1065 Avenue of the Americas, Manhattan.
Good afternoon, Todd Dale for the applicant. In response to the brief questions that were raised yesterday, I have here, which I will submit in a larger format, the sound detail for the box-in-the-box construction. As you said, Soul Cycle is regularly doing that. And also, they are not open, but they very much would like to.
Okay, great. Sorry. Okay, no, there's no speakers because there's no one except the fire department here. Okay, so great, so we can close this. Motion to close.
Chair Perlmutter?
Aye.
Vice Chair Hinkson?
Aye.
Vice Commissioner Montanez?
Aye.
Commissioner Otley Brown?
Aye.
Okay. And then we can, sorry? No, he needs to submit details on the box in the box, and, yeah, so unless they're submitted, no, they're not formally submitted. So we can say, what's today? Maybe for the 23rd, that you submit by the 11th of June?
Definitely.
And next hearing on the 23rd, or the decision on the 23rd.
And I'd also, just quickly, like to say, John, thank you for your service to the board. Good luck in the new endeavor.
Thank you.
Welcome to this side of the podium. Make your submissions on time.
I'm only here to get ready.
This concludes the public hearing for June 2nd, 2015.
Mike's off, don't go anywhere.
Yay!
Oh, yeah.
Camera, not off yet.